The first thing I felt was pain and a sharp, stinging slap across my cheek that sent my head snapping to the side. The second thing I felt was confusion. I was in a body that felt familiar and foreign at the same time. My body, but not my body that IT had been abused, worn like a cheap costume by someone who had never cared about the consequences. And then I remembered. The system user, the parasite who had hijacked my life 3 years ago. He had called himself a player, a strategist, a genius. He had been tasked with conquering the powerful women of high society, using my face, my voice, my body as his puppet. He had failed, spectacularly. He had turned me into a laughingstock, a social climber, a woman with no dignity and no shame. He had destroyed my relationships, my reputation, my future. And now he was gone. He had abandoned me in the wreckage of my own life, leaving me to face the consequences of his choices. The slap was followed by a shriek. One of my sisters, I realized. Which one, I couldn't tell yet. My head was ringing, my vision blurry. "You worthless, pathetic creature," the voice screamed. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you have any idea how much shame you've brought on this family?" I blinked, trying to focus. My eldest sister, Vivian. Of course. She had always been the most vicious, the most unforgiving. And the system user had made sure to give her every reason to hate me. I croaked, my voice hoarse from disuse. I didn't. Don't you dare pretend you don't know. Vivian shrieked, drawing her hand back for another slap. 3 years. 3 years of humiliating us. 3 years of embarrassing this family. And now you stand there, playing innocent. I flinched, bracing for the blow. But before it came, a cold voice cut through the room. "Enough, Vivian." I looked up. MY's second sister, Celeste, was standing in the doorway, her arms crossed, her expression cold and unreadable. She was the quiet one, the observant one, the one who had always seen more than she let on. "You think I'm protecting her?" Vivian spat. "You think I'm going to let her get away with this?" "I think you need to calm down," Celeste said. "We need to figure out what's going on. Something is different about her." Vivian laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Different? She's always been different. She's always been a disgrace." I looked at my sisters, the three of them, Vivian, Celeste, and my youngest sister, Daphne, were all looking at me with varying degrees of contempt, suspicion, and disgust. The system user had done his work well. He had turned them against me, poisoned their minds, made them see me as an enemy. But I was not the system user. I was myself again, and I was going to prove it. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice trembling. "I'm sorry for everything. I know I've hurt you all, but the person who did those things, it wasn't me. It was someone else. Someone who took control of my body." Vivian's face twisted with rage. "A likely story. You think we're stupid enough to believe that?" "No," I said, shaking my head. "I don't expect you to believe me, but I'm going to prove it. I'm going to make things right. I'm going to show you who I really am." Celeste studied me for a long moment, her eyes searching mine. Then she nodded slowly. "Prove it," she said. "Show us you're not the person you've been for the past 3 years. And maybe, just maybe, we'll give you a chance." #, chapter 1, The Stranger in the Mirror. Objective commentary. The Observer's Voice. My name is Margaret Chen. I've been the Sterling family's trusted attorney for over 30 years. I have seen the rise and fall of dynasties, the triumphs and tragedies of the powerful and the proud. I have also seen what happens when a family turns on one of its own. When I first met the young woman who was supposed to be the youngest Sterling daughter, I was struck by how empty she seemed. Her eyes were hollow, her smile was a mask, her words were calculated and false. She was not the girl I remembered from childhood, the quiet, observant child who had always been so full of potential. But I was also a lawyer. I knew that appearances could be deceiving. And I knew that there was more to this story than anyone realized. When the real Eleanor Sterling finally returned, I was the first to notice IT was in the way she held herself, the way she spoke, the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her childhood memories. It was in the small details, the tiny inconsistencies that no imposter could ever replicate. I knew, in that moment, that the nightmare was over. The real Eleanor had come back, and she was going to fight for her life. The weeks after my return were a nightmare. Vivian refused to speak to me. Daphne avoided me in the hallways. Only Celeste showed me any kindness, and even she was distant, wary, waiting for me to slip up, to reveal the real me. The system user had done a thorough job of destroying my reputation. I was known as the social climber, the gold digger, the woman who had thrown herself at every powerful man in the city. The system user had used my body to seduce, manipulate, and discard, leaving a trail of broken hearts and broken promises. My fiancé, Alexander, was the most painful casualty. He had loved me once, truly loved me, and the system user had made sure to destroy that love. I tried to explain to him, to tell him the truth, but he wouldn't listen. He looked at me with cold, dead eyes, the same eyes that had once sparkled with warmth and affection. "You're a liar, Eleanor," he said. "You've always been a liar, and I'm done listening to your lies." I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to shake him until he understood. But I knew it would do no good. He had made up his mind. So I did the only thing I could. I walked away. Hashtag, 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 chapter 2, the system's footprint. Objective commentary, the observer's voice. The system user had left behind more than just a ruined reputation. He had left behind a trail of evidence, bank accounts, contracts, incriminating documents that had been signed with Eleanor's name. The truth was, the system user had been working for a larger conspiracy. He hadn't just been a rogue player. He had been a pawn in a much bigger game, a game that involved powerful forces who had wanted to destroy the Sterling family. I spent months investigating that I hired private investigators, forensic accountants, cybersecurity experts. I uncovered a web of corruption that extended to the highest levels of government, business, and society. The system user's handler, the person who had sent him on this mission, was a woman named Drusilla Vance. She was the head of a shadowy organization that specialized in infiltrating powerful families and destroying them from the inside. And she had used Eleanor's body as her weapon. When I confronted Drusilla, she laughed in my face. "You think you can stop me, Eleanor? You think you can undo everything I've done? Your reputation is destroyed. Your family hates you. Your fiancé wants nothing to do with you. There's nothing left to save." I looked at her, and I felt a cold fury rise in my chest. "You're wrong," I said. "I'm going to take back my life. I'm going to save my family. I'm going to destroy you. And I'm going to make sure that everyone knows exactly what you did to me." Hashtag, 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 chapter 3, the revelation. Objective commentary, the observer's voice. The trial was a media circus. Drusilla Vance was charged with identity theft, fraud, conspiracy, and a dozen other crimes. Eleanor Sterling, once the laughingstock of society, was now the hero who had exposed the corruption and saved her family. I watched her testify, her voice steady and her eyes clear. She told the court about the system user, the body swap, the destruction of her reputation. She told them about Drusilla's conspiracy, the web of lies and manipulation that had nearly destroyed her family. And she told them about her recovery, the therapy, the rebuilding, the fierce determination to reclaim her life. The jury was moved. The public was outraged. Drusilla was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But Eleanor's victory was not just about justice. It was about redemption. About proving that she was not the person the system user had made her. About earning back the trust of the people she loved. Hashtag, 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 chapter 4, the reconciliation. Objective commentary, the observer's voice. The reconciliation between Eleanor and her sisters was not easy. It took years of patience, consistency, and unwavering commitment. Vivian, the most skeptical, was the last to come around. But eventually she did. She saw the real Eleanor, the person she had once known and loved. And she realized that she had been wrong to condemn her sister for the actions of a parasite. "I'm sorry," Vivian said, her voice breaking. "I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I'm sorry I turned my back on you." Eleanor hugged her. "I forgive you," she said. "We were all victims of the same nightmare, but we're family, and we're going to heal together." The wedding between Eleanor and Alexander was a quiet affair, just the family and a few close friends. It was a celebration of love, forgiveness, and second chances. Alexander looked at Eleanor with new eyes. "I'm sorry I doubted you," he said. "I'm sorry I didn't fight for you." She smiled. "You're here now. That's all that matters." #epilogue, the girl who came back. Final objective commentary, the observer's voice. Eleanor Sterling's story is one of resilience. She was robbed of her body, her identity, her life. She was humiliated, betrayed, and abandoned, but she never gave up. She fought back. She reclaimed her life, and she built something new from the ashes. I think about her sometimes, about the quiet strength that carried her through the darkest moments of her life. I think about her sisters, who learned to love her again. I think about Alexander, who found the courage to trust her again. Eleanor is not the same person she was before the invasion. She is harder, wiser, more determined. She has learned that the world is not always fair, that the people you trust can betray you, that the fight for justice is never easy. But she has also learned that love is worth fighting for, that forgiveness is possible, that redemption is real. I am proud to have been part of her journey. I am proud to call her a friend.